Hello, my name is Wes Dawson. I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Gabagool, Nate. And of course, this week will be G8 News at 10. I specifically asked for the short version. Oh, God, we have so much time on this. Welcome back. Alright, so this week we will be taking a look at some topical events in the news, some things that have been going on in the world, things that normally I try to shy away from Gabagool, Nate, as we are known more as a podcast rooted in academia, in higher learning, in expanding your knowledge of the universe. We're not so much rooted into politics or day-to-day news feeds, but I think that maybe it's a time that we get our toes wet, we take a little dip. And I would like to add the disclaimer that although all of the ideas and opinions in this episode were conceived, prepared, and presented by yours truly and Gabagool Nate, they do not necessarily reflect the views of myself or Gabagool Nate. How does that make sense? I don't know. It's more of a legal disclaimer than anything. Now, obviously, the big topic is COVID-19, something I thought I wouldn't have to ever mention on the podcast. I could go a few months without talking about it. It would disappear, and then we'd be ready to go. Unfortunately, here we are. Now, the main issue is that some people can't be educated on certain matters. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's pandemic related or anything else, whether it be willful ignorance, just regular ignorance, or maybe your mother spent too many nights getting the top of her head slammed into random headboards, some things just won't click. For myself, I think some basic concepts should be understood by everyone. COVID bad, government inept. Now, there's no doubt that there's some shady shit going on, and lots of people are profiting from a very terrible thing. But just as some people, you will never be able to explain science to them, like, let's say, flat earthers, who have this notion that you have to be able to see something to verify. And even if they do see it, doesn't really seem to matter. Now, just think about that for a second. But the same as you'll never convince flat earthers of a round, spherical type earth, you'll never convince me that the world is run by baby-eating Democrats performing human sacrifice and satanic rituals to increase their dividend yields. Do I think that there's an elite ruling class so obsessed with wealth and profits they would destroy the earth and everyone on it to have another Bugatti or like a fourth beach house? Yes, of course. I'm not a fucking idiot. But this idea that anything in life is black and white is absurd. What kind of sheltered, homeschooled, glue-huffing household did you grow up in? And it seems that a lot of people now, their justified frustrations, anger, and anxiety with the government has bled into like the science of the subject or the logic of the whole thing and the pandemic itself. Like in Quebec, it's been a shit show. And there's no logic between announcements, there's no science behind decisions, and their new strategy of like, just wipe your hands, it's your fucking problem now attitude, and closing testing centers and just sending out rapid test kits, like that's the new solution. Which I don't quite understand these random test kits. So if you have symptoms of COVID, well, you're supposed to isolate. And if you take a rapid test and it's positive, you're supposed to isolate. So what's the point of the test? If you have symptoms, you isolate. Like, I don't understand it. And also, these rapid tests, they're not that accurate either. So it's like, gyms and bars, we put a bottle of hand sanitizer at the door. We're safe now. Let her rip. That goes under the subject. People are like, why is this open? That's open, not my gym or my bar. I'm not saying that this guy's right or this guy's wrong, and I'm not saying it's fair in any stretch of the imagination. But unfortunately, gyms and bars have proven they cannot open safely. Especially when your clientele is either drunk or thinks that deadlifting will stop viral infections. Why did you ever expect that they were going to be able to actually do something safely? So now we're going to move on to social justice coming out of Quebec. Now, what a strange conundrum this is, because the problem with Quebec is like racist or prejudicial language laws or Islamophobic laws. That's A-okay. Telling people to wear a mask, well, we must unite together to fight this injustice. Now, for many Quebecers on any other day, a comparison between Quebec and Canada would be the most blasphemous of things you could say, and it would put a bad taste in your mouth, equivalent to like licking a 9-volt battery that had been dipped in dog shit. Yet now, now we stand in solidarity with our Canadian brethren to fight this injustice from the single greatest fucking dictatorship ever to walk the earth, Trudeau's Liberals. And that's not to say that I support Trudeau in any way. I used to vote Liberal, I never will again. But the problem here in Quebec is that the ruling party, the Cox, I believe, actually, I think it's pronounced CAX, They want to be this authoritarian government. You know, we're 2 years in and we're still under a state of emergency so they can just pass any fucking law they want without recourse. So all these people making comparisons to mid-20th century Germany, there's one of your legitimate comparisons, not this other fucking overblown ridiculous shit that people are saying. Now, these dumb fucks have completely dropped the ball. But now we're getting free money and $100 off our driver's licenses because they love us so damn much. Or maybe because elections are coming this fall. So the Quebec government won't have money for services X, Y, or Z. But they have money for one branch of the government to approve and issue a business license. And then another branch of government, QLF, comes to fine you over the name that you have. That the provincial government not only approved, but charged you to approve. Yeah. Or of course, their solution to solve staffing issues. We have no nurses. Well, it's okay, we're hiring 2,000 new ones. We have no teachers. Well, we're hiring 8,000 new teachers. Well, if you could just hire 8,000 new teachers, why is there a staffing issue to begin with? And one thing I notice is a lot of people's just overconfidence in thinking they understand things. There's many subjects I don't know about, like why your mother won't call me back. It's a mystery to me. I'm not an expert in everything. But a lot of people seem to think that statistics are the same as getting like an 8 on a 10 on a test and going, oh, that's 80%. Like, that's not quite how statistics work. You know, this is a field that requires study. It's a very dry, boring study, but it's study nonetheless. Because you see people say things like, 90% of sexual assault are committed by males. Yeah, obviously, they have dicks. Now, that doesn't mean that 90% of males are committing sexual assault, but that's how many people read this, and it's fucking absurd. And of course, we're moving on to children's mental health. The children, my God, somebody think about the children. Like, I agree. Yeah, we don't want to fuck up their childhood experiences. But it's like, also, if you're in grade 2, you don't know the fucking difference of grade 2 wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't. I'm just saying a fucking 7-year-old doesn't know the difference one way or another. And yes, we got to help the kids. We want to watch their mental health. We want to make sure they're happy, make sure they're learning right. I just don't understand this thing because, like, what about adults? Fuck adults, right? The grown adults are the ones who can acquire weapons, plan a mass shooting, and take out all their fucking coworkers. Like, I just don't understand this whole thing that it's like, well, fuck the adults. They can deal with it, It's the same thing as those baby on board stickers. Like, I have a baby in my car. Don't fucking rear end me. If we were a car full of adults, who gives a shit? Run us off the road. Now, of course, the big topic du jour, the truckers' convoy for freedom. Woo, boys, grab them ropes and let's get going. Let's fight for justice. Now, what a divisive subject. So we got our big trucker convoy for freedom heading to Ottawa, the capital city of Canada. And it's just, I'm amazed by this, this drive of Canadians just so desperately wanting to be Americans, like clinging to that America in North America for dear life. I don't understand this obsession with being like America 2.0. They're like the little brother trying to be like their big bro. So desperate for this that you have this group heading down there to try and create their own January 6th insurrection. Turned out well for the Americans. I'm sure it'll turn out well for us too. At the base of this, you have a bunch of people whining to Trudeau and the federal government on issues that are provincial jurisdiction and mandates issued by their respective provincial governments. But I think the bigger issue is ask our federal Liberal government any thoughts on Quebec policy, and you're going to get you see, Quebec, Quebec is a distinct province and, nation, because, yeah, and they come off humming and hawing like a bunch of inbreds fucking explaining why their sister's so purty. Like I said before, nothing is black and white in life. Like, some people in this freedom convoy have legitimate issues that they want addressed. Others are just crackpots that probably haven't read a new book since their grade 4 scholastic book drive. And also, this idea that all for one, one for all, we always stand together is such bullshit. Everyone has different perspectives, beliefs, educations, and what they want out of these protests. This whole if one is justified, we are all is toxic and dangerous. There's another group of people who live by this fucking credo as well, and they have this mentality that since they legally carry guns, they can do what they want. Their union has this stance that if you try one of us for a crime, you're calling us all guilty. This mindset doesn't play out well for anybody, especially people of color, homeless people, or anyone who can't get their cell phones out recording fast enough. Okay, but I think this is the biggest issue for me, is beyond the topics of protests, why they're there, what they want from it. It's these people wearing Jewish stars. Protest if you want, it's your right, and sometimes it's the only way to affect any kind of real change. But for those trying to compare people not being able to go see Spider-Man No Way Home or being slightly inconvenienced while shopping to the plight of the victims of the Holocaust, not only does that demonstrate how brain-dead stupid you are, it's an embarrassment to the entire country. But you've got people complaining about losing work and then skipping work to go protest. Maybe think about that for a second. Now, I've said similar things to this, but this may be a little bit more direct. But for those who go out wearing a Jewish star in these protests, first off, that is the most ignorant and disrespectful shit I have ever witnessed in my fucking life. Protesting is fine. You can be protesting that McDonald's should bring back the fucking McRib more often. I don't care. But to trivialize and pervert the suffering of victims of one of the most, if not the most evil, despicable, and sadistic acts ever perpetrated against other humans is unforgivable, in my opinion. Not only that, if the only piece of history you can recall is the most oversaturated war story in military history, you have no business talking about it. I don't care what you protest over, but any of you wearing that star thinking you're proving some kind of point, you are fucking pathetic. Well, unfortunately or fortunately, depending how you look at it, that's all the time we have for this week. So I'm just gonna end it with this. As I get older, one thing I've learned is that everybody is going through something. Some things are big to you, but small to others, and vice versa. We're allowed to have different viewpoints. We're supposed to read more, learn more, change your opinion, challenge what you've been told. Greg Graffin said to question everything, even him and why he's saying this to you. Seeking new knowledge and bettering yourself is always good, but if you're one of those QAnon converts and the crazies, you say you had been fed lies and everything was a hoax and you've done your research and you've finally seen the light. Okay, so that's a possibility, but why is it so unfathomable that your new manifesto is also wrong? If you're able to have your mindset, your world changed, your whole point of view changed, why is it you think it can't be changed again? So you are entitled to any opinion you want, but if the only way for you to express your opinion is to yell at people while foaming at the mouth and saying that if you don't follow these rules and this mantra, you're a sheep, you have to wake up. Maybe have a friend look over your talking points, maybe read something that didn't originate from a Twitter link, maybe drink some fucking Varathane. Being louder doesn't make you more right. And all that's to say, cut slack to others, try to be a little bit nicer, and if you see people being assholes in public to like service workers, something like that, take a breath. Remember, we're all human. Put down your cell phone and go stomp their knee in sideways. Thank you so much. My name is Wes Dawson. This has been Gabagool Nate. Please listen, like, share, and subscribe.